There are growing calls for an overhaul of the parliamentary expenses system this afternoon. The Health Minister, Susan Lee, has stood aside as her travel expenses are reviewed. Other government MPs have come under fire over their use of travel entitlements to attend a New Year's Eve function. Political reporter Alexandra Beach has more from Parliament House in Canberra.
So unfortunately for Ms Lee, the questions just keep getting asked about her travel expenses. The latest that we've heard is from a retired couple who say that she made two inspections of their property on the Gold Coast in 2014 while it was on the market. And we do know that during that period she put in travel entitlement claims for a two-night stay. That comes just 9 months before the now infamous trip where she bought an $800,000 apartment on impulse. And so while Ms Lee hasn't commented on those latest claims, it does raise some questions or pick some holes in the suggestion that that apartment purchase was entirely an impulse buy, because it does seem like she's scoped out the market a little bit in the area.
And Alex, questions have also been raised over the expenses of several other MPs, particularly in relation to this New Year's Eve function.
Yes, we've had come to light as well that three ministers, George Brandis, Peter Dutton and Mitch Fifield, put in travel claims for attending a somewhat glitzy New Year's Eve function at Kirribilli House in Sydney. Now, there's no suggestion that they've done anything wrong here. However, other MPs who attended the same event did make the call that they would pay their own way. And I guess it is a bit of a bad look given what has been growing calls today for a complete overhaul of the entitlement system. We've heard more and more that people are pushing for that, and it does fuel that fire. Here's a little bit of what Independent MP Andrew Wilkie has said about the need for some serious change.
In many ways, Susan Lee is the symptom of a disease, and yes, the Prime Minister has now taken some action about Susan Lee and that symptom, but there's yet to be any serious action about the disease itself, and that is that parliamentarians have a very weak or are surrounded by a very weak regulatory framework when it comes to the expenditure of allowances.
It's Andrew Wilkie there. And Alex, we've heard about the need to reform parliamentary expenses many times before. Is this latest push likely to succeed?
Well, the cynical response is that this is an area where a lot of people have personal interests, and yes, it has been difficult in the past to get much movement. However, in light of some of these recent events, the opposition has said today that it's keen to see changes, including the potential to look at a federal ICAC. And we've also heard from the Acting Special Minister of State, Kelly O'Dwyer, who's said that the government is committed to taking some real action in this area. Let's hear a bit of what she had to say.
The government needs to streamline the current system for parliamentarian work expenses. There has already been an independent review into workplace expenses. The government has accepted in principle all 36 of those recommendations, and the government is already working on the implementation of those recommendations.
Now, Ms O'Dwyer hasn't said or fleshed out exactly how far the government will go in this space. However, there is a thought that given some of these recent events, they might push changes further than what we would have otherwise seen.
That's Alexandra Beach there in Canberra.